Shelley from Hodgepodge Hoosiers. Thought I'd get on here. I've got a lot of preserving that I've got to get done. I've got green beans here ready to can. I've got a lot of potatoes and I'm just getting going on them. I've been freezing my tomatoes till I can make something with them. I want to make tomato soup this year. I need to make some more juice. I finished last week doing my salsa that I need for the year. But if my Roma tomatoes keep coming on like they have been, I'm liable to make another round of salsa. I'm not sure, but there's something starting on August 1st called the Every Bit Counts Challenge, and I'll have that here on the screen so you can see. Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead started this, and last year I did it, but I did it myself. I didn't put it on YouTube. But this year I think I'm going to do it. I'm preserving something anyway, pretty well every day. So this year I'm going to do it and see how much I can get done in the month of August. Like I said, I've got green beans, and I'm going to be doing potatoes for a while. Tomatoes has got to get done. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll have enough tomatoes in the freezer that I can get out and put in my big Nesco canner, or not canner, my roaster thing, and get me a big old batch of tomato soup, because since we've ate the homemade, we don't like buying it. I've got to make dandelion salve yet. I've had my dandelions in a carrier oil now for probably 2 months, which will make it that's fine. It's 6 weeks, I think, is the minimum. So I need to get that made. That's for dry skin and chapped skin. So I want to get that made and put in the pantry for when we need it. Winter's usually hard on skin. And let me see. Oh, our cucumbers is just now producing the second bed. The first bed's about done. I've got to make more pickles this year. I want to make a big batch of pickle relish, and I'm hoping to get enough cucumbers at one time that I can do that. So I'm going to turn you around and we're going to get started here for my day one. I'm actually going to do it, this is the 30th. So I'm a couple days early, but I've got so much and it's got to get done. So I'm going to go ahead and record it. So I'm going to turn you around and we'll get started. Okay, all I did was I snapped the beans the night before, put them in the fridge. And I got 5 pint jars and 1 24-ounce jar. I just washed them real good and then drained them and then put them in the jars. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt in each one. You don't want to use iodized, or that's what I know, because it has a caking agent, I think is what they call it. I'm not sure, but a salt like sea salt or pink Himalayan is best, because they don't have whatever it is in it. I don't think it matters that it's got the iodine, which we're pretty well all sea salt now in when we're seasoning and cooking, but I do like to do the pink Himalayan on the beans. So I'm gonna get the water over here, and I've got a pot of water on the stove heating up, and we'll get these excuse me, we'll get these filled and then in the pressure canner. Okay, I do have my dishwasher going. I hope you can still hear me. I'm just gonna fill these within about 1 inch to a ½ inch. I don't get real precise. I've done so much that I kind of know where it needs to go. Yeah, I've got a lot of preserving to get done. I got to also, we've been doing corn. We've got a lady local that we get our corn from, so she's been getting with me about once a week. So I've been putting up corn because we just can't hardly grow it here. The deer's so bad. Next year we're thinking about trying it, but we're gonna have to put an electric fence up around it, or a tall fence, some kind, and try and see if we can't grow it ourselves, because I like to put up several quart bags in the freezer. I don't can it. Okay, now you want to do this, you want to debubble, because air pockets can get stuck in there. I did fill that one too full. Okay. You want to wipe the lid really clean. Oops. Got my regular ones in there. This is I use 4 jars canning lids now. The success rate for them is a lot better. Now, I'm gonna add just a teaspoon or so of water into that one. There. When you twist them on, I always go like that, and then I back it just a little bit because you don't want them twisted tight like you're doing for water bath canning. Pressure canning, you do not want them as tight as you can get it. Some people say the rule is whatever tighten you can get with one hand, which with my arthritis that still wouldn't be enough. So I just do it decently tight and then I back it up. It seems to work for me. So I'm gonna get the rest of these done and then I'll show you what they look like in the canner and I'll tell you the time for them. Okay, I have them in the canner. I put my pints on the outer edge. Now because I think this is the rule, or it might just be something I've always been taught or just know, but as long as you got at least 4 jars per batch, it's okay to pressure can. Now, if I've got less than 4, I'll put jars of water in there and just use a used lid on it just for space so they don't move around as much. Now, it is supposed to be 20 minutes for pints for green beans at 10 pounds of pressure for my elevation. You know, always want to check where your elevation is because it could change per where you live. But because I'm using this 24-ounce jar, I'm going to have to pressure can them as quarts. So it's going to be 25 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to get these a-going because next on my list, I've got to get zucchini bread made. And then I've got to get to peeling potatoes for a round of potatoes for when these get done. So I'll show you what these look like when they come out. I'm using an All-American pressure canner. It's the 915. I believe it holds 8 or 9 pints per round or 7 quarts, which is perfect for me. I don't think I could lift a bigger one because these are pretty heavy, but they're very durable and long-lasting. Okay, on to making the zucchini bread. In this bowl, I've got all my dry ingredients, which is flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, and I believe that's it for that. And this is all my wet. I've got 3 eggs, 2 cups of grated zucchini, my sugar, which it called for 1 cup. I didn't put quite a cup because instead of putting oil in this one, I'm putting applesauce for a healthier version. And I used my home canned applesauce, and I knew I lightly sweetened that. So because I did that, I didn't put quite the cup of sugar that it called for. So I've got all my wets in here, and you'll have the recipe on here. I'll probably put the picture right here where you can see it on the screen whenever I post. It's a simple, basic recipe, only instead of using the oil, you're going to use applesauce. And then you just combine the ingredients. A little at a time. I don't get too carried away with it. Usually when I'm making this, I'm in a pretty big hurry. We grew zucchini this year, but vine borers got our squash plants, so We only got one zucchini from our own this year, but we're blessed to have a co-worker of my husband. He's been giving us squash. We like the yellow squash in fried potatoes. And zucchini, we've been baking it and putting olive oil on it and breadcrumbs and Parmesan and a little bit of sea salt and baking it. But we also like zucchini, and I like to put up zucchini, and in the wintertime we can have this zucchini bread. So there, that looks pretty good. And I've got 2 loaf pans here. They're just lightly coated with olive oil. And I'm gonna get them in a 350-degree oven, and they'll bake for an hour. And then we'll have us some nice fresh zucchini bread for our dessert tonight. Zucchini bread just came out of the oven. It ended up only having to be in there 40 minutes. The recipe says 40 to 60 minutes according to your oven. And they smell wonderful. Okay, next project is to peel all these potatoes. I'm gonna make pints of chunk potatoes. These are just the right size, like in the wintertime when we're making vegetable beef soup, to open one of these and put it in the soup. It's also just the right size for beef stew, potato salad. They've got so many uses. We will not buy store-bought potatoes. We eat fresh until, you know, it gets later in the year and they're getting older, and I don't have a cellar to store potatoes, so I do the best I can, but once it gets later in the year, they seem to start getting spongy, and so we eat them as much fresh as we can now. So after that, then we're relying on the can, which I've already canned 14 quarts of French fries, and I'll be doing some more of them. But I want to get these chunk potatoes on the shelf because they're good for fast meals. They're also good for, I like to have stuff on my pantry shelf for, like, in the winter time if the power goes out because of a snow or ice storm. We've got a wood stove that's got a flat top on it, so I can cook and heat stuff on it. So if I've got potatoes already done, I mean, that saves me from worrying about what to eat. I try to keep, I pressure can dry beans so I can have beans to heat up. I pressure can around the vegetable beef soup or vegetable soup. And so then all I got to do is add stuff to it then in the wintertime. The tomato soup I'm getting ready to can in a few weeks. That's great to just open up and eat with like a cheese sandwich. So anyway, I'm going to get this going, and it's pretty straightforward. I've cleaned them already, or no, I haven't cleaned them. I've got to wash them yet. Peel them with the peeler. Be careful with it. I let them soak in cold water, rinse it, and then I do it again to help get some of the starch out. And then I'll show you how I can them. All right, this steady stream, I don't know if you can see it, but it's been going for right at 10 minutes now. So I'm gonna add the weight to it. It is, for my elevation, it's 10 pounds. So now we're gonna let it get up to 10 pounds of pressure. I usually end up going 11 or 12. There, you can see it better. And adjust your heat, so you, which I know on my dial, that if I put it to 7, once it gets up to pressure, it's going to stay right at 11 pounds or so. Once it gets to pressure, then you can set your timer for the 25 minutes. Got my potatoes chunked up and they're soaking in water. So you don't want them real small. I'm not for sure why they don't want you dicing them. I don't know if it's just because it's not a tested recipe, but this is fine. I mean, you can cut them up smaller after they get done. When you open the jar, you can cut them up smaller for whatever you need. Yeah, I'll let them soak a little bit, and then we're gonna get them jarred up. Okay, I've got my potatoes all in. I didn't smush them down. You don't want them real tight in there. I'm putting a half a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt in each one. Now, I'm going to do the, I don't know if you call it the cold method or what, but when my canner, I'll put cool water in it after the green beans come out. I'm going ahead and getting these ready. You'll put room temperature water in here. Filtered is best. Now, today I don't have filtered, so I've got to use my faucet water. But I do most of the time try to do the filter. Put about a half inch to an inch on the head space. Whoa. Carried away there. Take some of that out. Okay. And you do the same thing with these. You're going to debubble. There isn't no pocket of air in there anywhere that could get locked in during the canning process. Kind of push them back down. There. Get a paper towel. These have already been washed, and I just set them in a bowl, the lids, and I turn it back. And I'll continue on with these, and I believe they're going in the canner for 35 to 40 minutes. I'll have the correct time on the screen here. I think it's 40 minutes for quarts, 35 for pints. Pretty sure that's what it is. So, and then we'll have 8 more pints of potatoes to put on the shelf. I'm hoping to get to do corn this week. As soon as my lady calls me, or not calls me, she messages me, and then we just go pick it up. She's fair on her price, and it's local grown. So hopefully that's one of my next projects, is doing corn. And I've also got quite a few tomatoes over there that I need to get cut up and put in the freezer. And I also need to grate some more zucchini, get it in the freezer. Lots to do. So this Every Bit Counts challenge is going to be exciting, and I'll have the hashtag on the screen, in the beginning of the video. Go check out Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. She's one of my favorite YouTubers that I watch as far as preservation and canning and gardening. She cans like I can, and how I was taught to can growing up. And I think you'll really enjoy her. So I'm gonna get these ready to go in the canner. Okay, I think this is about all I'll get done as far as preserving today. I got 5 pints of green beans in one 24-ounce jar, 8 pints of your chunked potatoes. I made 2 loaves of zucchini bread, one sliced in here. So that's a pretty good for the first day. Tomorrow I'm going to get into something totally new than canning today. I'll probably be shredding zucchini and getting tomatoes prepped and ready to go into the freezer. so I can make sauce and soup at a later date. So stay tuned for this Every Bit Counts challenge. It's going to be fun. I hope I can do it every day. Now, I usually try not to do anything on Sundays, so it might just be 6 days a week. But I'm going to try and put something up or preserve something or do something in the garden or anything that helps with preserving food. So if you like this kind of content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until the next time, bye for now.